This is the Style Matters podcast, brought to you by Little Yellow Couch. I'm Sandra, your host, creator of the slow style approach to uncovering and implementing your signature style, one that represents who you are and actively helps you become who you want to be. This show isn't about hacking the latest trends or coming up with design rules you aren't allowed to break. Instead, my aim is to talk with the most thoughtful designers about their process of creating beauty, how they make their choices, and what makes a room really work, and about the substantive reasons about why developing one style or aesthetic really matters. If you're ready to make your home a meaningful place to be, you are in the right place. I'm so glad you're here. Hilton Carter is a very busy guy. He's a stylist and a matchmaker between plants, people, and their homes. He owns a plant shop. He is constantly in the media as a plant expert, and he's just written his fourth book in as many years. If you're new to plant care, go back and look through his other books. In fact, we've had him on the show before, so go back and listen to that episode. That was for book number 1. But if you're ready to take your plants to the next level and really think of them as dynamic design elements, his latest book is for you. Today, we talk about the impact your choice of pot or planter can have, as well as what you're pairing the plant with and what it's sitting on, all with an eye toward design. The name of the book is Living Wild: How to Plant Style Your Home and Cultivate Happiness. Here's Hilton. Hilton Carter, welcome back to the Style Matters podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be back.
Great. Listen, the first time I interviewed you was 4 books ago. That's a long time. Yeah. I mean, and a lot has happened in your life since then. So I want to do a quick refresher on how it all started, even though I asked you about that several years ago. But remind us, when did you become obsessed about plants, and how did you learn to care for them? And then how are you handling the fact that I see you everywhere? I mean, you are, you like the plant doctor for apartment therapy. You've got a line out at Target. This is your 4th book. I mean, you're a superstar.
Oh man, well, I appreciate that. I don't feel like a superstar. I don't know if I would even enjoy the idea of being a superstar, but I do love the space that I'm in and the individuals who I get to meet and talk to in this particular space. So it's been wild. Of course, I'm using that word for this, and I've been using it a lot. But it's been a wild ride over the past 4 years, I guess, since I spoke to you, because I'm guessing it was in 19. If it was right before, I think it was right before my first book came out, or right after it came out. So just to give you for those who didn't hear the first, I guess, episode that I was on with you.
I'll link to it in the show notes page, but yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Yeah. It all started for me when it comes to plant styling and really, I guess, my love for interior styling as well. It's just like the moment where I had found myself in an apartment living in Los Angeles that needed some sort of identity. While I had my own identity, I thought, why doesn't my space speak to who I am?
Yeah.
So at that moment, this is probably like 2010. I'll say I started really focusing on that. I'd also just turned 30, so I thought, it's time to button things up a bit.
Exactly. Right. No more college posters hanging on the wall. Yeah.
There it is. So I started focusing on the I guess the decor, the pieces that I was bringing in, and seeing them as things that maybe could travel with me instead of just leaving them behind every time I moved from space to space. And in 2011, I went to one of the best plant shop design spaces there is. Still, and I would say today is Terrain. They have many locations now, but the one I went to, and I think it's probably the first one, was the one in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania. And,
yes, I have been to that one. Yes, I know what you mean.
Beautiful space. The one Stiers, I believe is what they call it. I had been there. I had been in that area in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania for some work, and just happened to be staying in a hotel near that location, and some residents who I was filming, I was working on a commercial shoot, told me that that particular space was something that me and the rest of the crew had to check out. And we went in there, and I was blown away. I was literally taken aback and thought that why haven't I brought plants into my life? Because there was plants everywhere. I just felt this overwhelming feeling of just like being transported to this tropical destination that I guess at 30 I still hadn't really reached in my own life. I've been to all these different places, but I just never gone to something, a tropical place that I need to be.
Well, and just real quick for people who don't know, so Terrain is a very plant-forward home design kind of store. It's an offshoot of Anthropologie, and they really make the plants the focus of decor, design, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, keep going.
For sure, yes. So I walked away from there thinking, when the next time because this apartment that I had at the time still didn't have a lot of light.
Okay.
But I thought when I have enough light and some more disposable income, because plants, even at that time, weren't that affordable, I'll say.
Yeah.
I thought, I'll start bringing plants in. In 2014, I moved to New Orleans from Los Angeles, moved to New Orleans and moved into a space that had wonderful, like big bay windows, floor to ceiling, both sides of the home. And I just started from there, and I purchased a fiddle leaf fig because I wanted a tree. Well, I should put a tree. Yep. I should start this off with a tree.
Yeah.
And I bought the
Is that Frank?
Fig. That is Frank. Frank is the genesis of all of this.
He's still with you?
He's my firstborn. He's still with me. Of course, he's still with me.
It is huge, right? I mean, he must be huge right now.
Yeah, he's huge. he's big. And as all living things do, he's always a work in progress, always shifting and changing his style. He's now, instead of being in the 15-foot ceilings that we had in my last apartment, now he's in our 10-foot ceilings and moving along the walls as as he should. But I mean that was it. Like, that's how it all started for me, as far as like my passion and love for bringing plants in. And that one plant grew to about 50 to 100, and et cetera, et cetera. And
do you even know how many you have at this point?
No, honestly, not at this point, because I now actually own a greenhouse, or I rent a greenhouse, and I actually own a plant shop.
Right. That's one of the many things you've done in the past 4 years. Yes.
Yes. Very true. So that's how it all started, as far as me wanting to bring plants in. And then over time, it just became a thing. Obviously, in social media, I wanted to have a side hustle in interior design and helping people in their homes decide where perfect pieces should go and how the space should look. And that also included plants. And it just so happened that a lot of individuals were really gravitating towards how I styled plants, and that became a big part of my business, and it took over, and that's where I am today.
So, and I think it's only grown. I think that our interest culturally in plants, you were sort of on the cutting edge of that, of bringing them in, and then it's really blossomed, and, the pandemic happened. And so then we all wanted to bring nature in, and, it's only grown. And of course, plants are so good for us. And so I'm very happy to see this big interest in it. And I know you are too. And I want to just say that your last 3 books were really, really great for teaching us how to care for plants, and, trying to demystify it a little bit. It can be very intimidating. So those books were really great guides for that. But I think this book is kind of asking us to take the next step beyond good plant parenting and really start seeing plants as this indispensable design element. And was that your intention for the book, to really get us to kind of take the next step beyond just buying plants and caring for them?
Well, I wouldn't say for everyone, but I would say for someone like yourself, if you're someone who has read all the first three books,
Yeah.
or someone who feels well versed in the care of plants and can understand that it's all about getting the things that are going to make sure that that plant can thrive in your home right first before you can have fun with styling. And yes, that's what this book is. So I kind of mentioned that early in the book, like, hey, look, if you're still trying to figure out how to care for a particular plant, or you're having issues with care, then maybe this isn't the book for you at this very moment. Like, this is for those who are ready to have some fun, honestly, ready to get a bit creative and stylish, and not just shove plants into corners or next to windows of their home, but kind of have the opportunity to start thinking stylistically about how plants can transform their space and add color and shape and dimension, and just really do a lot of the work that we see other bits of decor maybe doing, but something that, as I mentioned about Frank, is always growing and changing, and that can really then add to the, I think, to our own happiness and wellness, right? So yeah,
it's the only design element that is going to change over time, right? It's not
for
static; it's a
sure.
living
It's
thing, and it's so
it's the
exciting.
only
It's so
thing.
exciting.
It's the only bit of decor, I guess you call it at that point when I'm talking about decor. It's the only bit of decor that you have to really care for, right? Like really
Right.
spend time with and think about, you know? So it's important
Nothing
to
makes me
know those
happier.
things.
You're right. Nothing makes me happier when, one of my aloe plants or some kind of cactus in particular, like sends out a shoot, and then there's like a little
Yeah.
baby one that's come. I mean, they're so incredible to watch, and they're so surprising, especially when something blooms and you didn't even know it was a blooming plant, because I'm still very much
Mm-hmm.
in the trial and error stage. I appreciate you thinking of me as a well-versed plant person, but I'm still learning and I'm still
We're
failing
all
at
still
times.
learning.
And
We're all
yeah,
still learning. We're all
well,
still learning. We're all still failing. And, like we're all still learning and failing. But it's the individuals who put the effort into understanding that, look, I'm failing at this particular thing. I'm not going to continue to just sit here and fail and let the plant suffer and die. I'm going to take the initiative and start to pay attention to what the plant is telling me,
yeah,
and try to reverse whatever the thing is that I'm doing wrong.
yeah,
I think that like again, like those are the things that are the true tangible benefits of plants that help us beyond plant care.
yeah,
They teach us pet care. They teach us people care. They teach us self care. They say, right. So
yeah,
understanding that you're not going to be able to keep a plant that you just purchased from a plant shop looking exactly how it does at that first moment is not going to stay that way when you bring it into your home. That's just
yeah,
not going to be the case. But as it develops and changes, whether that's a leaf that has a plant that has 10 leaves that now has 6 leaves, that now
right.
is your plant that you have to work with, and it will develop and grow new foliage. If you want to see that take shape, you got to put the work in to do so. But just because it starts to lose a few leaves, it's not a direct sign that you are the one not putting the work in at this moment. It could, there's changes that happen. So I feel like when it comes to design aspect of it and bringing plants in, it's knowing that if you want a particular look and you're trying to seek a particular look in a particular part of your home, like if you're going to start putting plants on the middle of your dining table as a
Mm-hmm.
nice little centerpiece,
Mm-hmm.
it would be beneficial for you to choose the right plant that can live and thrive in that space. So you're going to be buying plant after plant after plant and seeing plants suffer, and like
Yeah.
it's a good idea to kind of think about and I hope people do this, but think about them as living things so that you are putting your best foot forward,
Right.
and putting the best light forward.
Yeah, we're going to get into light because that's a big one. But Yes, and I think just they're so rewarding when you tweak something, you tweak how much you're watering it, or you move it to a different window, or and it responds. It's so gratifying. It's so like, oh, I got it. I figured you out. That's what you needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I have two more questions on plant care before we move into the design aspect of the book. And there is a lot to this book in terms of design. It's really eye-opening and very inspirational. But first, and I have a bone to pick, why on earth are pots and planters not created with drainage holes? And what can we do about it? Oh my
What can
gosh.
we
And
do? I love what can we do about it?
what can we do about
We
it? Do
can
I need to?
storm the castle.
Yes, yes. I'm going to round up all of the pot designers and beat them over the head with a wet newspaper until they start putting holes in their
Oh
pots.
man.
I
Yeah.
mean, what the
Um
heck? Yeah. I mean,
you're
is it just,
you're
do you buy them
it's
or do
funny.
you
I was
not
just gonna
buy them?
say, it's funny you just touched on a plant rant that I was currently working
Oh,
on. But
a plant rant. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah, I love these are all what you're doing right now is ranting to me about people, designers not putting holes in their pots for drainage. So yeah, I don't think it's a thing that should stop people from purchasing
Okay.
planters.
If it's a
I
fabulous
believe,
planter. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, look, I believe I believe that it is great to have a planter that has a drainage hole, and then I'm gonna put that big if if you're gonna make the decision at some point to pot the plant in that planter.
Mm. As
Now,
opposed
this is gonna
to,
as to taking the plant in its nursery pot and placing it inside of that pot. And I will say in
oh,
design, when it comes to the book, when I talk about styling a plant in your home, there's ways. If you're trying to, let's say, have a certain look going for you, and you have this amazing planter that doesn't have drainage,
yeah.
use that planter, but make sure that you're putting plants in it that are that their nursery pots can just sit inside of that
Got it.
planter. And when it's
Yes.
time to water it, you take the plant fully out of that pot, maybe water it at the sink, water it in the shower, water it
Yeah.
outside, let it drain out, and then put it back in that pot. Like that, for me, that's awesome. Because all we're talking about is drainage, right? We're trying to make sure we have
Exactly.
drainage. And there's so many ways to then hide a nursery pot below
Mm.
a pot that doesn't have drainage, right?
Right, right. Like
So I
sphagnum
think
moss
there's
around it or pebbles or something.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. So I don't have that big of a beef with
Okay.
designers that are making planters without drainage, because I will say there are plenty of times where I would like to see a clean bottom of a planter touch the surface of a floor, surface of a
Yeah,
pedestal, surface of a table. But I
yeah,
will also say in a lot of situations like that, what I tend to do is I will place one of those plastic base trays
yeah.
that some people will put on their floor and then put a plant on top of. I will
Yeah.
place some of those inside of those
Ooh,
planters that don't have drainage holes, and then put my plant in its nursery pot on top of that. And then when
good
I water it, I can
idea.
see when the water goes out to the drainage
Ex
into the base tray, and then
yeah.
I'm done with the watering there. So
Oh, good
there's
idea.
ways to, you know what I'm saying? There's ways to work around it that aren't that, so you don't have to storm the castle and burn everything down. I'm with you. I'm fully there with you. I want people to I want designers to start thinking about that when they're thinking about style. I also want them
Yeah,
to think about function, especially for the
absolutely.
life of the plant. So when
Exactly.
I did my collection with Target, that was the first thing I mentioned to them. I was like, they have
Of
to have drainage, and
of course you did.
if it has drainage, I still want there to be a possibility for someone to decide, well, I don't want it to drain on top of the surface. I'll put
Right.
maybe a base tray in there, like Hilton said. So always supply that drainage hole, or have a plug that can plug up
Yes.
that drainage hole that someone can decide to keep in or decide to remove.
Right, right. Of course you did. That, of course, that's how you designed it. Um, Before we continue with the conversation, I want to introduce you to my slow style approach to creating a home you love. Slow Style is a step-by-step framework that puts you at the front and center of your home rather than products, trends, and other people's ideas of what beauty looks like. To get started, I've created a new worksheet called Dream Home Action Plan, and it's all about adjusting your mindset about what you really want from your home and what you want to experience inside it. Because I believe everyone deserves to live inside beauty right now, not someday when you can afford all the bells and whistles that you see on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I'm dating myself. Does anyone remember that show? Anyway, this worksheet is the first step to reframing what you want to get out of life and how your home can help you achieve that. It's free and it's available on our website, littleyellowcouch.com. Just click on the yellow button right at the top called Free Guide, and then I'll jump in your inbox and we can start a conversation about your dream home. Again, that's littleyellowcouch.com. Okay, let's get back to the episode. And I'm guessing in your shop, which I do want to talk about, your shop, you probably stock both, right? Because there are some fantastic planters that just don't have drainage holes.
Well, sure. Again, like I said, like when you're plant design forward shop, you are thinking about those who are understanding design itself and also understanding plant care. So it's difficult to have a plant shop across the board. I'm sure most owners of plant shops, people who work at plant shops, have this issue. It's just that you have no control over who's coming in to purchase your plants, and you have no idea what their care level is, right? Mm-hmm. So we have employees, all of people who work for us, they are well versed in understanding what type of plants can do well in people's home and in individuals' homes, and guide them for what will work best for them, and to at least leave them with the information that will set them up for success once they get that plant to its destination, right?
And that's a great point. That's a good plug for going to independently owned plant shops, because typically the people who work there are also knowledgeable. They're not just reading a label off of the little tag.
Very true. Very true. So I mean, so you give them the information that you can, and then at that point, I mean, after they walk out of the shop, it's going to be up to them to then understand that, oh, this planter doesn't have a drainage. There's things that I need to do to make sure that this plant can still thrive in this pot that doesn't have drainage.
Right.
So
Right. Okay, so here's my other question for you, and it's also a little bit of a plant rant. What exactly does the tag mean when it says bright indirect light? Because I think that almost every single tag says that. And I have one of those plant apps. Yeah, I have one of those plant apps, and I'd love to know whether or not you like those. But it's a plant app, and you hold your camera and it says move to a brighter space. Always move to a brighter space. And of course, I know I'm trying to force things because I want plants everywhere, and I do not have great light. So I'm always looking for great low light tolerant plants, but indirect light. I mean, here it's sitting in a window. It's getting light. Like, why is that still too dark?
I mean, anytime I do a plant care video, the one thing I say is give it bright indirect light, unless it's like the best type of light for most plants will be bright indirect light across the board. It'll be bright indirect light. So it's good that those labels say that. As far as plant apps go, I can't really tell you if I like them or I don't like them because I've never used them.
Oh, okay.
I know folks that have them and enjoy them. I know individuals who've used them and don't like the ones that they've used, and then they've gone to another one and they like that one kind of. I will say that it's, to me, I think whatever's going to help you do better for your plant, go for it. Like
if the technology helps, great. If not,
exactly. So I say go for it. But if you're asking me about bright and direct light, I will say the reason why it says that every label is because the one thing we all want, the one thing all of your plants want, is their natural habitat. None of these plants want to be in our home. None of them are like, please bring me into your house. They all want to be outside. And they want to be in their environment. They want all the humidity. They want all the light that they enjoy, right? And it's understanding that. So if you think if and what I try to tell individuals when I'm in any sort of workshops or in my book tour is just like the thing is to first try to understand that you got to mimic their natural environment in your home. In any way possible.
Let's move on to design, because that is what this book is about. And
we're going to change this podcast to Light Matters.
Light Matters. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yes. And I mean, you talk about that throughout all of your books, but you still bring it up in this one too. And the importance of it and, really getting it right. And what kind of light typically comes in depending on how the windows are facing and all that stuff. But really, if you can get the watering down and you can get the light down, that's pretty good. And then you can start playing with soil and stuff like that. But
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So to the design, I want to jump to, you have a whole section on 10, I think it's 10, what you call designer plants, to really help understand this concept of seeing plants the way a designer might see the shape of furniture, patterns on a wallpaper, the texture of a rug, all of those design things. They are also true about plants. And then, of course, then what you pair them with, the planters. And this section is so beautiful and brilliant because you side by side, you show a picture of a plant and then you show a picture of some sort of object or piece of furniture that it's not mimicking. Probably the object is mimicking the plant, but
mimicking life. For sure.
Yeah. They really relate to one another. And I'm wondering if, we're going to link to this on our show notes page and we'll have a lot of photos and everything there. But because this is an audio podcast, can you just describe maybe one or two of your favorite sort of combinations that you've created between the plant and the furniture or the setting?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or do you want me to give you my favorites? Yeah, do you want me to?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let me hear your favorite.
Okay, because
you give me your favorites, and I'll give you one of my favorites.
Okay.
I don't have the book. I have the book. I have the book in the front of my brain every single day. But as far as like in front of me, it's not in front of me. But I know, right. I know some of them that because then you're trying. Now you're just making me pick like those are the 10 out of the 50. I was like, right. Let's do a whole book of 50 of these. And they were like, no way.
Right.
So narrow that down
it's already
to
hard.
100.
Right. I get
10, it's 100. So, you know what? I will say this. The Monstera albo is definitely one I'll mention. And across the board, I want everyone to know that this isn't a plant that everyone's going to have in their homes and probably shouldn't have in their homes. They're way too expensive at this moment in time to even test out.
Yeah.
But if you have the means, I talked about this earlier, but if you have the means to go buy one, do it.
they are stunning. Plant. I think it's probably my favorite. It's stunning. It's
a beautiful plant.
If you guys know what a Monstera is, it's those, they became very popular. They're these huge leaves, but the leaves have like interior holes in them. But this one is variegated and it's got white against this dark green in these funky patterns. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. And it's gorgeous. And you've paired it with marble, of course.
Yeah, because all of the variegation in the Monstera or in most variegated plants is marbled, right? So it has the same unpredictability when it comes to the pattern as marble does. It has those, I like to call them like veins that worked its way through it, but it feels so connected to that material, to that stone, that it is the perfect. It's such a when I see it, I see marble. I go, that look is marble, and for me, I think it's very cool to have that sort of look paired with maybe another marble accent that you have in that room.
Right.
So that when you walk into a room, like you mentioned this in the book, is that when individuals, designers, anyone who's styling their homes, they don't have to consider themselves a designer to do so. but
No.
someone will go and buy a throw pillow for their couch, and the colors they're choosing for those throw pillows are probably pulled from some other color that's accentuated somewhere else in the room.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So it's the same thing we're talking about plants. It's like when you're trying to figure out what plant will go best in my north facing living room.
Yeah.
What plant
Yeah.
will go best there? Well, it's a north facing window, so it gets this up so light. So now I'm going to narrow my window,
Your
window,
choices. Yeah. Yeah.
my choices down, choices of plants that I can use down to what can do best in this light. But now I'm going to think after that point, now that I got my options ready, now I'm going to go, all right, well, I have this marble table.
Mm.
Wouldn't a Von elbow or
Mm.
a marble queen pothos
Mm.
or a Hoya carnosa, which isn't very variegated in the marble sense, but variegated in the whites and fading from
Mm.
white to green
Mm.
sort of look. But I feel like tying those things together, it's just like it's art and design,
Yeah.
and I don't want to call someone a botanist at that point, but you're pulling all these worlds together
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make it feel right for your home, but very special for you.
Yes. And that
And
juxtaposition you talk about a lot throughout the book
yeah.
about when you're choosing where to put it, like what's going to go next to it. Like, let's just assume we've got the light correct. We've got the correct plant for the correct light that it's getting. But then this whole book is about taking into consideration what is the plant next to in terms of its inanimate objects, but what is it next to in terms of what other plants might it be next to? And then what is it sitting in? What is the pot or the planter like? And you and I am this way too, love juxtaposition, right? So I'm going to see something kind of spiky next to something round and soft or whatever. But this marble idea, the marble of the leaf of the monstera with the marble of like the table, or let's say the pot that it's in, it's still a juxtaposition because you've got this hard stone surface, right? That's cradling this living, breathing thing. So they share a pattern, a visual pattern, but they don't share anything else, right? Their material is completely different. And I love that. And that is, so this section that I'm talking about, these 10 plants that you highlight, you show us that for each one of them. And one of my favorites is the Calathea setosa. This picture that you have in here is, first of all, it's so tall. I mean, it's just this glorious, these long stalks with these green and white striped leaves. And you talk about it next to a corded chair. So a chair that is, instead of like cushions, it's got cords on it. And you talk about that with several of these plants.
I'm gonna correct you there as far as the color. It's like a dark green next to like a muted olive green per se. So if it's showing up white there, I'm not too sure about.
No, you're right. It's I was being way too basic. It's not really white. It's like this other color shade of green. And underneath it is this fabulous burgundy, which is like a whole other thing. But with several of these striped leaves, you talk about, thinking about how they either contrast with or complement striped, other things that are striped in your home. It could be a fluted pedestal. It could be a channel tufted sofa. It could be wallpaper. And
for sure.
I think that's what makes this book so fun, is that you were really bringing us to this whole other level of thinking of plants as design.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for me, it is the book is about bringing you into my head. Trying to get you to understand like how I see it when it comes to plant styling and what works for me, and how I connect like you said, the inanimate objects with the more organic shapes and forms that plants have, and looking for ways that not only just, can brighten up a corner when, you add a plant, which is what it does, but to fully give that plant a, almost not like a spot to become more than it is, but to see it as living art. And it's one of those things where I try to, I don't know if I'm like remind, like, because I was like, if someone jumps into this chapter without reading the beginning of this, I want them to go, well, how do I care for it?
Right.
Like, look,
I just spent $2,000 on this plant. Yeah.
I just want you to know that you have to understand how to care for it first. You got to have the right light for it first. You can't do any of these things, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't try to make a monster elbow that's $2,000, like you just mentioned, work, depending on what size it is. Of course, it could be more expensive, it could be less expensive. But you shouldn't try to make that work and force it into a space just because you're like, I have this amazing room that has all these marble accents, and I really want this plant to work because someone said it would. You got, like I said, you got to do that other work first. But there's no room for, I got this really cool plant, I love it so much, and then you walk into a hardware store and just grab a terracotta pot for it and throw it in there like that.
Right.
That to me defeats the purpose of understanding, and we'll touch on this, style. We'll touch on it later is what I meant. It's full, like, you are, most individuals who care about design, because style matters, it's, you see it from top to bottom. In fashion, people think about the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, how each piece is going to accentuate the other and juxtapose another, or accentuate, and all these different things work together, right? Depending on what you're trying to say that day, that evening, that event, whatever it is, right? When people
Absolutely.
do that in their homes, like in your homes, you're thinking the same thing. You're thinking about the way the rug is going to interact with the couch, and the fabric of your couch is going to interact with a particular fabric of the throw that you're going to put over top of it, or how certain things. So it's just like, when you think about plants, and now we're thinking about plants beyond the care, again, beyond the care, you're thinking about how to style them in your home. You want to make sure that you are connecting the texture, the shape, the future, because again, like everything else that you're buying for your space to style it and design it with, your coffee table one day when you buy it isn't going to be 3 feet longer, let's say, in diameter, and then 10 weeks later it'll be 5 feet in diameter. That's not going to happen. I promise you that. But your plant, could happen. Yes. So you have to plan. You want to start planning out how that is going to look, and what's going to transform over time in that space. And that's also another fun element of it. But I want, if people haven't been thinking of this, I want everyone to start thinking how they can look at the color, or let's say the shape of foliage, and go, I want that shape of foliage to sit next to this particular piece of art, this particular piece of furniture, this particular part of my home, because it tells the story of what I'm trying to say about this room, or it perfectly mimics the heart shape of the pillows that I have that I'm really in love with. Or, it's like, I want that sort of thought process. I want that to be, everyone's on their journeys. I like to say journeys and greenery. Yeah, sure. Once they get a bit further down that path, I want them to start grabbing onto these ideas to really transform their spaces. I think that's what's important.
Yeah. And I really think that what you've done here in this book is very eye-opening. I just don't think other people are talking about this so much. I think that there's not a lot of thought put into what the container looks like, let alone what is the plant going to be next to, in terms of other plants or just by itself or whatever. And so it's very exciting. It's like this whole other world of design options are opened up to those of us who love design and love to play around and really think about, well, wow, this plant looks completely different in this pot than it does in that pot. And I want to choose the one that really shows the plant off and really makes it
Totally.
look as stunning as it is and as incredible as they are, because they are living things that grow and shoot out, stems and flowers and all kinds of other unexpected things. I tried to, in my mind, picture the room and kind of cover up the plant either with my hand or just in my imagination, and imagine the room without the plants. And you can immediately see why plants matter. Maybe we should call this episode Why Plants Matter instead of Why Style Matters. They are so dramatic. They change the feel of the room so much. And I guess let's just use that as a segue to my final question. Why does style matter? And answer that however you want to.
I think style matters because it tells the story of the individual or individuals who are living in a space, working in a space, in that particular space, right? It allows there to be some sort of individuality that is put out into the world and to show one's true vision in some sort of way. I think when you think about style and what that looks like, there's a feeling that you get when you walk into a place that lacks it. And there is a lot of, I would say for me, and I talk about this in the book, when a place lacks style, it's clear that there is just no intention on anything. Yeah. There's no clear rhyme or reason why pieces are pulled together or colors are chosen. That's why style matters, because it shows your true self.
Oh, Hilton, you're such a pleasure to talk with. And the book is really, really inspiring. And at the very least, like even if you're still at the beginning of your parenthood, just think about the pot that you're putting it in, what it looks like, what its structure is. It ribbed, is it painted, is it whatever, and then kind of like it's almost like an outfit. Like take the pot take the nursery, the plastic nursery pot, and then hold it up to different planters in the store and go, oh yeah, I guess it really does matter which one I pick.
It sure does. I mean, there's sometimes where a planter is the real, I would say, art. And the plant you put in it needs to be something that is not going to take away or hide the planter. Sometimes they can compete for attention, and you got to think about that. So whenever I have, this is my last tip, but whenever I have a planter that is like perfect, just beautiful, that is just like a work of art in itself, I always put a plant in it that is an upright plant, either a tree-like plant that is going to grow upwards, or like a snake plant, something there where the foliage isn't going to cascade down the pot or hide the pot at all. You don't need that.
That is great. And I'm thinking of one in particular, and I guess we'll end on this because you guys just have to go see the book, go get the book. But it's this incredible planter you have on your dining room table that sometimes it's on your dining room table. It's like, I think it's a rubber plant. And it goes straight up and down, but this planter, it looks like it's concrete, but it's kind of got this fold.
It is concrete. It is concrete.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
God, it's stunning. The whole thing is so stunning, that particular combination between that planter and that plant.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show again. It's been a real delight, and just appreciate all of your passion and your love for plants and teaching us how to care for them and style them.
Andrew, I really appreciate you bringing me back.
Thanks so much for spending time with me today. If you've gotten something out of this episode, please be so kind as to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening from. It really does help this show stay on the air. And also, don't forget to grab our free guide, The Dream Home Action Plan, at littleyellowcouch.com. And also, that's where you can find the show notes pages for all of these episodes with photos and links to things that we've been talking about. Have a great week. Bye for now.